Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 44 of the Game Time Gents. It's Nardy Fish Oltowski here with you again. And we have an episode about the NFC South today. But before we get into that, I don't understand NBA trades, boys. I really don't. We had the first ever 7-team NBA trade. 7 teams. There's only 30.
A lot of teams, man.
I thought it was a typo. I thought somebody was sipping something in the back and then had just, sent out that notification. I can't believe what I was witnessing.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. I'm looking at the terms here on NBA.com, and it's not even like descriptive. Like there's picks, the picks are kind of laid out, but then there's just line items that say cash. This team gets cash. No amount of cash, no anything like that. But the biggest news is Kevin Durant is reuniting with James Harden. James Harden at the Rockets.
And Russ. Isn't Russ over there too?
Is James Harden not with the Rockets anymore?
You're asking the wrong fella.
Is he with the Clippers?
I thought he was reuniting with both Russ and Harden. I thought they were both there.
They might both be there. I'm going to look up James Harden real quick.
I got James Harden. You get the other guy.
Russ is there. I'm confident
Harden
Russ is there.
Is with the Clippers.
Oof.
Guaranteed $13.3 million for 26-27.
So Kevin Durant is reuniting with Russell Westbrook.
Do it again. Start over.
Not James Harden. So very interesting because they've had some drama in the past with each other. So I don't know. I'm sure it'll play out well, or Russ will be on the move. Who knows?
Basketball. Yes.
Zoltowski loves basketball.
Look, we talked about this when we did the retro logos. The basketball lost its edge when all the bright neon colors and cool logos went away. Basic logos, basic sport.
I haven't watched basketball since like 2017. Really?
I was a big Cavs fan over here, though.
You're pointing the wrong way. There you go.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go.
I'm mirrored.
There you go.
I know it's right through
This guy, big Cavs fan.
Huge Cavs fan. Best team in the East this year until the playoffs. All right, but let's get into our quick PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, not good. It's not good.
One strike away. Wild pitch.
Not good.
7-2.
All right, but like we said, we're going to go over the NFC South today. That is your Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this division was dreadful last year. I mean, the top team, I honestly...
Just saying, remember when it was Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan?
Well, there was a while there where it seemed like a different team won this division every year. Like you'd have the Falcons on top, then the Saints, then the Buccaneers, and then the Panthers. But the Panthers haven't been good in forever, I feel like. But anyways, here's your division shakeout for last year. Tampa Bay winning it all, just at 10-7. 4-2 in the division. You got Atlanta behind them, 4-2 in their division, but 8-9 overall. And then you've got the Panthers and the Saints tied at 5-12. And we're going to talk about a very glaring couple stats for the Panthers here in a moment. So, going to go over their additions and subtractions. So, Tampa Bay was the most active team at getting talent this year, I feel like, and they didn't really get that much, at least in this division. They did sign Hassan Reddick to a 1-year, $14 million deal, $12 million guaranteed. Fish knows Hassan Reddick. He loves Hassan Reddick so much.
It was great for us, and then decided to put on a kimono and travel to Japan for a little bit. So kudos to him.
And the Jets don't think you ever saw the field much with the Jets. So, the big thing here, though, is that they did sign their first-round draft pick, Emeka Egbuka. And I remember we were watching the draft together on this podcast, doing a live stream. And I was shocked that they picked Egbuka first because they had so much receiver production. And then these guys kind of talked me back to earth and said, well, Mike Evans is getting older. Chris Godwin, we don't know what his injury is going to be. So for fantasy purposes, I think Emeka's probably going to take at least a big step up, at least during the first couple of weeks of the year. And then I think that he's probably going to remain the second, third option once Chris Godwin comes back. It really just depends on how he bounces back. What do you boys think on that?
I think it's very much a future investment pick, 100% there. Like we talked about, you got two guys getting a little bit older. One guy coming back off a rough injury. They had that, what was his name, who did really well, that guy that came in.
Jalen McMillan.
Yeah, Jalen McMillan had a pretty good year last year. It's a smart pick because you know he's going to get taken if he sits there for too long. Get the receiver you want, that you want to grow and develop. I think you're right, though. I think he'll start out in the season till Godwin comes back because I don't think they have a date for that yet. And, you know, maybe he'll probably see some time at the end of the year when they're resting their starters when they eventually win the division, because this is probably going to be the team to do it again.
Yeah, I don't really see anybody. Maybe the Falcons squeak in there, but
yeah,
I don't really see anybody coming out and beating the Buccaneers next year. So they did restructure Baker. He's at a 3-year, $100 million deal, $50 million of that guaranteed. So kind of shocking it's not longer, although he is he 30 yet? He's probably pretty close.
I think he's 29, bridging 30 this year.
Okay. Yeah, him, Darnold, they're kind of...
He's been healthy the last couple of years.
he is 30.
He was really good last year, yeah.
So, and he loves slinging the rock. So,
yeah. But you see that they lost Shaq Barrett and then Joe Tryon Shoyinka, I believe is how you say his name. I better learn it soon because he signed with Cleveland. So he's going to be coming off the edge on the opposite side of Miles. So excited to see that in the future. But we can look at their performance from last year. Offensive, outstanding. Top 5 in every category. So we talked about Baker. You got Bucky Irving up there or down there. You've got Rachaad White playing his role as well. The big thing that really hindered them last year was their defensive passing yards allowed, and then also the points allowed. So they ranked middle of the pack in points allowed, and then teams were just throwing the ball all over the place on them. So I believe that they had multiple injuries in the secondary, but hopefully you see that subside a little bit. You'd like to see Bucky and Rachaad get out there a little bit more to run the rock a little bit more, play that time of possession game more. That's really where Baker shines. He's really good with play action. He's really good dishing the ball off the fake and all that stuff. So you can see that they called a pretty even run pass play ratio here. 54% pass, 45% run. So, and they converted a good amount of their red zone trips to being touchdowns. So do you guys think that we're going to see the same success next year for Tampa Bay when it comes to offensive stats, or is this kind of a fluke?
no, I think we'll see something, if not more. I know these stats here are, third, fourth. I know it's a little tough to beat, but you got to think that Bucky really kind of just took the reins the back half of the season, and they're like, "Holy shit,
True.
This guy can actually play." They got a young receiver. We know that Godwin is out. He did incredible things last year. They're not going to rush him back, right? They're going to let these young receivers kind of ball in. Baker can make things happen. I think offensively, we're going to see the same thing that we saw last year. They're going to put up about 28 to 31 points a game. It's just going to be interesting. I know they lost Shaq Barrett and that edge guy, but if the defense can get, if they 29 in passer, that is tough, and I would be curious if they were ahead during those times, like if they had a 2-touchdown lead, right, and the team is forced to constantly throw it. Does that play a factor in, or did people just really run or essentially catch everything around them? They just couldn't stop it. So I don't really think that they did too much in the defensive area, but I guess if you're putting up near 30 points a game, you kind of have that almost that Bengals approach. We'll just somehow possibly outscore you, and if we can hold you, great. But we're gonna get our points. So I assume that this team is they're a lot better than 10-7. They could be a scary team going into the playoffs. I think they'll perform better. They'll take the top of the table. See, I think the team's way too good offensively, too much talent. They could pick up some scrubs on defense and fill in. Honestly, 3 of us if we really wanted to.
I'll fill again.
I could go play next to Vita Vea.
Yeah, I mean, he was running the rock there. Well, not down lane. Around, yeah, absolutely. They'll go around.
They're not going.
Yeah, they'll go around. I'll make Vita Vea the biggest 3 technique in the league.
Absolutely. But
I gotta agree with. Oh, go ahead, Fish.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Especially look at both Godwin. He had that season-ending injury in week 7, and Mike Evans also got hurt that week too. He was out for 3 games. So yeah, it's only 3 games, but and then he comes back. He probably wasn't 100% for the next couple games as well. And looking it up too, Godwin is expected to be back week 1 after dislocating his ankle, fracturing his fibula, tearing his deltoid, and having a high ankle sprain all at once.
Jesus.
It was a horrendous injury. It was one of the ones where they did not show the replay on it.
Who hit that guy?
It was, I don't even remember. The Ravens. So.
Oh, your favorite team, not?
Yeah, your favorite.
Dirty team. Just kidding.
But they're gonna. Hopefully he comes back full strength. Mike Evans is going to be going for the all-time record of seasons over 1,000 receiving yards.
Yeah,
consecutive. I think he's going for number 12.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that up. Jerry Rice gave his blessing so that Mike Evans could break it. I don't think he needs your blessing, buddy.
No,
but
he's gonna do it. But yeah, they're gonna keep putting these nice offensive numbers up. Probably, hopefully, I think they're gonna outshine what they did last year. Even though being top 5 and everything, still nothing to shake a stick at. And like Fish said too, fill those holes in on defense. They're not doing terribly on defense, not like the Bengals. So they can, score a bunch of points and then still give up a good amount of points and win games. Yeah, 10-7s, I think, just due to injuries. You think about it.
Go ahead, Zoltarski.
You think about it, they have Godwin and Evans for 3 more weeks. They're 13-4 instead of 10-7. So.
I mean, you look at it defensively, right? And I keep going back to the inflated number, 29th in yards allowed. But then you look at their run game, 4th. I thought it was 14th. My old age, I can't see too well. Maybe it's the coloring here, but I mean, they've been known to have a naturally really, really dirty run defense.
Yeah.
Uncanny. So it would make sense, right, that those numbers, I mean, it's 250 yards per game. They take an early lead. The teams realize, hey, we can't run the rock against these guys. It doesn't make any sense. We'll try and outshine them. No, like you said, they had some injuries in the secondary too. So I would predict that passing yard, that 29th is not going to be replicated by that. I maybe mid-20s, low 20s. If you can get to the teens, this team could be very, very dangerous. We know how hot they get, especially going into the postseason too. I like this team a lot. I like them. They're fun to watch. You gotta love Baker. Baker played really good with a few teams he played with in the past, but thank God he got a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say something about that 4th ranked run defense, and you're right. Like, you think about the running backs that they play against in the division. You've got Bijan. You've got the kid from Carolina that popped off last year, Chuba Hubbard. And then you've got, and he's aging, but you still have Alvin Kamara. So they've played against really good backs, at least 6 weeks out of the year, and seems like they shut them down pretty well. So, yeah, I'm excited to watch the Buccaneers next year. Always excited to see what Baker does. Just makes me think of what could have been, So we'll move on next to the Falcons. The Falcons have made a couple of additions, mostly on the defensive side, and they did exercise Drake London's 5th-year option. Now, the reason I added Devon Diablo in here, he's a very interesting player. He was a safety in college, kind of similar to how Fred Warner was a safety in college. So he's got those ball skills. He's got the opportunity to go around, fly to the ball. Signed him 2-year, $14 million deal. He was with the Raiders last year. Leonard Floyd, old journeyman, coming off the edge. You may remember he was the one who, I believe, injured Aaron Rodgers. Maybe I'm mistaken, but no, I think that was
the turf, man.
I think that was Flowers, but yeah, not intentionally. But yeah, Leonard Floyd coming off the edge. You say they replaced Matthew Judon with him, and they drafted those 2 edge rushers in the draft this year. So that's always been a thing that they've had issues with. The Falcons is getting to the quarterback. It seems like it's been a running thing that they've had trouble with over the past few years. So and I'm glad to see they made those changes there. And then we can look at their offensive performance. So we have their defensive performance as well. They're really ranked low in a lot of those categories. But they're kind of bend don't break. I mean, they're ranked 12th in points allowed per game. So I don't know, take that as you will, but it seems like Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins, that combination there, played pretty well getting their guys the ball last year. So what do you guys think about the Falcons for next year? Do you think that they take an upswing? Are they going to dip back down? What's going to happen there?
I think they got to figure out their quarterback situation first, because we talked about the weirdness of them drafting Penix in the first round after signing Kirk Cousins to that big deal. And, he struggled last year, to put it lightly. Maybe it's learning a new system. Maybe he's just getting old. But, hopefully maybe if he figures it out, if he figures that system out, he looked good in Minnesota. I always dreaded when the Lions would have to play Minnesota because he had that great receiver room and he was also a very good quarterback. But if not, Penix showed some flashes for being a rookie. If he's worked hard and done his stuff in the offseason, I mean, maybe there's a battle for the starting job. I kind of expect him to stay the same. What were they, 10-7 last year as well?
8-9.
8-9. 8-9. Just under 500. Maybe swing it to be over 500. I think there's just a lot of work to be done on defense, and it doesn't feel like they've shored up a lot of that at all.
No, I agree with you. I mean, hopefully those pass rushers that they drafted pan out. Looking at the offensive side, you've got Bijan. I'm surprised there wasn't more rushing yards there, but I think it was a lot of playing from behind. So, and you can kind of see that with their run pass play call ratio there. Fish, what are you thinking about the Falcons for 2025? What are you excited for?
So I'm curious, right? Obviously, we kind of saw flashes of the pan with Michael Penix, right? Kind of stepped in the last 3 games, started out slow, got his feet wet, got the nerves, going on. And the second game he played towards the, about mid. That last game that he played, he really kind of settled in. And we talked about this with Bo Nix, all these rookies, that you can't expect them to go out there and throw 25 or 30 passes for 400 yards, so on and so forth. It seemed like towards the end of the season, he got comfortable. He gave Bijan the ball. London popped off. London, I think it was receiver. Kind of came out of nowhere because the season's, not really like he had much talent, but the production was never there for the hype that he was in college. Offensively, I think they'll do just fine. I'd love if they could get Kyle Pitts somehow. I mean, you get this specimen of a tight end who can run the routes quick. He's got hands, and somehow, I remember we're all sitting at what was it, Eli's or Wings Range or something, and he caught his first touchdown of the year, like week 8 or something like that. And we're like, oh,
yeah,
Pitt season. But with the likes of Bijan and the other running backs that they have, the offensively, I think they'll do fine. I would assume that Kirk Cuddy's going to take over for a couple games till he has a bad production, and then Michael Penix will probably step in, kind of ease him back into it again. No need to rush some of these guys. And then defensively, we've seen him hit spurts where we're like, oh, that's the good, and then you have other times where, okay, that receiver just got his 4th touchdown. Do we plan on guarding him or what? By the way, I play against those guys that catch the touchdowns. So it's always a lot of fun. So I'm asking myself, you guys want to cover them at all, or like what are we doing?
Right.
Defensively, again, the interesting thing here though, 12th, giving up 25 points per game, which is not bad. So it's almost on the upper echelon there. But it's what kills me here is not only the passing yards allowed, but then also rushing per game. So it seems like a lot of teams that play with these guys, either down or up, it doesn't matter. They still come in and still play their well-balanced scheme. And I think that's obviously, if you can sway it one way where, hey, we're up by 2 touchdowns, we know they have to throw, and now everything throwing first defense. I feel like their defense didn't see a lot of that, and there were still a lot of question marks. Are they going to run it? They're down by 14. Nope, they're going to play action. Now they're going to run it. So I think if they clear up a little of that uncertainty, if they can kind of drive that off on the defensive side, they could drive that offense to make a more pass-heavy decision or a run-heavy decision, I think that could swing a lot of these numbers. And we'll see that drop. I think much though. I think they'll land about second, around the same record, if not another game or two up.
Yeah, I think their floor is second. I don't think the Panthers or the Saints might go 0-17.
Well, that's yeah.
So
there.
Yeah. But next on the docket, we got the Panthers. And the Panthers have a lot of subtractions this year. Now, you can say maybe they're older. Maybe they're not as good. But you've got Miles Sanders gone, Jadeveon Clowney gone, Shaq Thompson gone, Dane Jackson gone. Dane Jackson and Shaq Thompson are both in Buffalo now. Miles Sanders is in Dallas. Hopefully going to play some sort of football there. You've got Jordan Fuller gone. And then I just put on here Eddie Pinheiro and Johnny Hecker because I feel like they're both pretty good kickers and punters. Johnny Hecker is one that's been a legend in the league for the last few years. So their big addition, though, is Tet McMillan. Drafted him pick 8 overall. He's got a 4-year, $27.9 million fully guaranteed contract. And it makes you really think, like, there are other receiving options there. They have David Moore they brought back. They've got Xavier Legette. Adam Thielen. God, Adam Thielen is just still kicking around, isn't he?
Hang it up, brother.
Hunter Renfrow.
They brought in Hunter Renfrow? Interesting.
I just pulled it up.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't know they signed Hunter Renfrow. I should have put that on there, but Tet McMillan, a lot of people are excited about him. And with the way that Bryce Young finished the year last year, I'm pretty excited for him too. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. I think he's going to be everything that they wanted Xavier Legette to be last year. So,
which you bring up a good point there, right? And Xavier Legette in college was a good ball player. He ran a sub 440, good hands, good route running. And again, it's just something that doesn't transition into pros. Now, keep in mind when Adam Thielen wasn't playing, they were relying only on Xavier Legette. Now that you got Tet McMillan that kind of steps in, of course you got Hunter Renfrow, who is that slot fill-in guy when you need it. Old man is still there, so now not everything is on Xavier Legette, right? So I kind of like him to see him step into that number 2 role, and kind of what we said with is it Buffalo's receiver? No, Chargers.
Oh, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he was a number 1 in college, didn't really transition, a lot of pressure, and that's okay. Number 2 is not a bad option either. So I'm kind of hoping that they kind of steer Xavier Legette in that number 2 role, get him on a deep go or over the middle, build the confidence because the kid can ball. There's a reason why he got drafted so last year. I don't know. I mean, the whole offense got hot last year towards the end of the game. They were winning games. You're like, you guys were forfeiting the number 1 pick. What are you doing? But apparently that didn't matter because they got their player. So, yeah, interesting.
Oof.
Now this is what I wanted to talk about, boys.
Are these the Brown stats and you just put blue and silver?
No, so Carolina is the only team that allowed over 500 points last year.
Wow.
They're the only team that allowed over 3,000 rushing yards last year. And I think the next closest team was like 400 yards off, if I remember right, when I was looking at rankings. But yeah,
Yikes.
there is a lot of bad to look at here, to say the least. You know, you talk about how good of a year Chuba Hubbard had last year, especially at the end of the year down the stretch. And they did draft Little Etienne to come in as well. So who knows how good he'll be. But, I mean, you would figure that their offensive rushing production would be a lot higher than 18th in the season.
You would think that, though, right? But look at their run calls. They only called 37% run plays. So that means that's small production, right?
Yeah.
And they're 18th overall for running. And that's kind of nuts. I mean, holy shit.
It's because their defense can't stop anybody. I mean, they're ranked dead last in three different categories here.
But you look at that production by Chuba on such a minimal scale, and he's essentially averaging 120 yards a game at this point. You know, it's just...
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah.
A crazy concept. If you got him in fantasy, either trade bait him out or hold on to him, because who's the guy that had the 9th knee surgery of his young career?
Jonathan Brooks. Yeah. So there's no telling if he's going to come back and how he'll come back, because like you said, this is at least the second or third knee injury he's had since.
I mean, he's 21. There's a possibility, right? AP did it. And a couple others, but at this point, you have zero competition in the running back game.
Yeah,
Little Etienne's not going to do it. It's just not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised when I was going through these. I knew their defense wasn't great, but I didn't think that they'd be dead last in 3 different categories.
No, I remember they lost by 40. They gave up 40 points 3 times, and then 38, 36, 34.
Jeez.
Like, they had a rough year. Now, I will say, though, that when they started Andy Dalton, he was the first quarterback of the season to throw for 300 yards and 3 TDs. So there's that. They have that little notch under their belt there. But I think we're going to see a turnaround from Bryce this year.
I hope so.
You know, we talked about it last year. You know, sit him, let him learn, and they did. And he came back, and his lowest game after that was 158 passing yards, which again,
it's not bad,
not the best. But you know, Chuba also rushed for 152 that game, and they won. Again, that was against Arizona. So you know, that's over 300 yards from scrimmage right there. So
yeah,
and he hit 263, 298, 219, 203, 251, 224. You know, he was hitting over 200 yards. And close to it, fairly consistent, 191, 171. So I think this is Bryce's probably make or break year, and I think it'll be a good one for him. I think he's finally kind of figured it out. Probably been putting in a lot of work in the offseason. I haven't seen much on him. I don't think they're going to be contenders by any means, but I don't think, I think they might go 8-9 is their ceiling. Maybe 9-8. Maybe.
I mean, they're going to have an easier schedule being the third place team from last year, but yeah, I don't know. They better do a lot of work on that defense to get any sort of hope for any type of production. I mean, I was flabbergasted when I was going through rankings, I'm telling you.
If you guys want to go down in December to New Orleans and watch them play the Saints, tickets are $26 a pop. I just want to go to see I just want to go to see New Orleans, get some beignets, get some actual Cajun food.
Beignets in a $26 football game, dude.
Exactly.
But surprisingly, they converted a lot of their red zone attempts, and I think that speaks to Chuba Hubbard as well. So, I don't know. I hope to see good things from Chuba next year. I hope that he keeps the train going. So, yeah, like I said, shocked when I was looking at these rankings. I had to double check my work like 3 times.
Not shocked.
I just
shocked that they're 23rd in pass yards allowed and not in the 30s, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right, and then we have some Saints transactions, the worst team in the division last year, this year, and possibly the year after that. So
I thought they were tied last year.
They were, but they lost a tiebreaker to the Panthers.
Okay.
Notable transactions, they brought back Brandon Cooks. He's with his 9th team before he's 30. So, no, I think he's over 30 at this point. But Brandon Cooks, 2-year contract, $13 million, $7 million guaranteed. And then you got the subtractions. Derek Carr's gone. Jamal Williams has been released. Mr. Anime himself. And then they did exercise the 5th-year option for Chris Olave. So, Fish, I'm going to kick this one off to you for Derek Carr. You've spoken about this a couple times. What do you think about Derek Carr's retirement?
Real quick, Chris Olave, did they exercise his 5th-year contract while he was in the hospital from CTE, or is that?
Oh my god!
I assume he's knocked out from that one too. So, Derek Carr, I look, I get it, right? Everyone gets their time. Everyone goes, you know what? I mean, at my, my eager level kind of thing. And then you look at the team you're on, you're like, I'm gonna get my ass beat. A lot of these O linemen, and we might go 4-32. I think it's time to hang it up. What I don't like is that he did it after the draft.
Yeah.
And this seemed to be no warning to the team saying, hey, guys, you know what? Even if you pulled Aaron Rodgers, at least the Saints could have been like, okay, he's on the fence. Let's look at a quarterback. But it seemed like everything was like, oh, yeah, dude, can't wait to come back next year. And all of a sudden you draft your players, and it goes, JK, I'm just joking. I'm not going to come back. I'm done. Which puts the Saints in a really, really shitty position, which the team isn't that great defensively or offensively.
No, they're not.
Alvin Kamara is getting old. I mean, if you re-sign or sign him to 2 years, that receiving core is not great. Now they have these young quarterbacks, Spencer Rattler and
Tyler Show, yeah.
Supposedly Show's been doing really well in 7-on-7, which, again, that's fantastic. It's a little different when you got, a Myles Garrett or somebody like that coming into your face. It's just a tough break, and I know Noah is a big, you guys remember Noah, right? He's a big Saints guy. Yeah, he's a big Derek Carr guy. I just think it's a shitty circumstance that he left him in. Puts a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not even a fan. I would be crushed if I realized, my quarterback they were supposed to have for another couple of years just to buy his time is out, and I got to rely on these jackasses.
Yeah.
Here goes another 5 years. So who cares?
This is just fan fiction at this point. But I wonder if he was upset with the Tyler Show pick.
He might have been, but I mean,
they took him round 2, 20th and 20th, and they're in round 2. Like that's
yeah. But round 2 is a guy you expect to at least get some time on the field.
Yeah, or build for the future. I mean, you got to think, at the end of the day, this is a business, right? Because Aaron Rodgers thought the same thing when they got Jordan Love. Like, he was like, oh, I can't believe they would draft that guy. You didn't clear 3. I'm pissed. Here goes my sabbatical. At the same time, you can't really be like,
where's my mushrooms?
Oh, yeah, right. I'm going to pop some.
Where's my peyote?
But it's you can't just rely on a guy that's 42, knowing the end of his career, and then him go, all right, I'm done. Good luck with the future. You got to build. And honestly, Derek Carr would have been a great person for those two guys to learn under. A vet who's been in those circumstances, clutch games, who's played with incredible players, who knows the offense and defense schemes that he could have taught and, coach these guys. But, egos get in the way or whatever. Maybe he hasn't come out and said anything outside of just retired. It's just a bad situation for a team that we didn't think could get any worse. And honestly, Tyler Show will do fine, but it's going to be a Zach Wilson situation where he might ball out and you got a really shitty team around you. And Alvin Kamara cannot hold it on his back all season. He's not 24 anymore.
He'll still get his 40-point game, Alvin Kamara. You mark my words.
100%. They play
It's
Miami
guaranteed.
and
Yeah, strong hands.
Arizona. They play Carolina. You know, obviously division. They play them twice. But I think their best bet, I agree with Fish, and we talk about it all the time, again, on the show. You can't draft these new guys and throw them in and expect them to succeed right away. It doesn't work. You get lucky. You get a Jaden Daniels every once in a while. You get an
Andrew
CJ
Luck.
Stroud. God, the Colts did him so dirty.
Yeah.
God, that poor guy.
What happens if you don't have an O-line to protect you?
Exactly.
Honestly,
look, their best bet, just real quick looking at the available quarterbacks in free agency, and it's a stretch. Carson Wentz is out there. Draft him, throw him back there. Don't make him go in there. Let him learn the game of football at the NFL level.
You wouldn't have to learn behind Carson Wentz.
I thought you were about to say Ryan Tannehill.
He didn't show up.
Bring Matt Ryan out of retirement.
Or that. I think.
Or Phillip Rivers. Between him having his 19th kid. Bring him back in.
I was going to say.
Hey, brother, chill out.
Bring Drew Brees back. He just said on some show or he did some interview, he can't use his right arm anymore. It's thrown out. It's gone. He goes, yeah, I throw left-handed in my backyard now.
What about Teddy Bridgewater?
Teddy Two Gloves. Get him in there.
He came back after winning a state championship in Florida as a high school coach to the Lions. I don't know. It's going to be a rough year for them. I hope shows out, pun intended, and I hope he has a good season. But there's not much there for him. You might as well put Taysom Hill at quarterback. He might have better success. I think he put up a couple 40-point games in fantasy.
Yeah, we don't talk about those.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Could we also talk about the receiving core, though, with Chris Olave? I mean, he is almost on that, and I don't want to make a joke about it, but, we're here for it. He's almost on that Tua scale, right? He's been knocked out of games. He's been concussed more than X amount of weeks not playing. At what point do you go? And it's not like he's head on, right? It's not like he got blindsided. It's a jump ball. He landed on the back of his head, or he got wrapped around the legs and then fell on his head. Get this guy a bigger helmet. But at what point do you go, hey, brother, we I don't know, ethically can't have you play anymore because you're one step away from losing your memory, right? You're one hit away from having a 2.0, which again doesn't bode well for that, that number one guy, that young receiver that you put trust in. At any minute he could be out, and then you got Brandon Cooks that steps in.
Don't forget Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, Rashid Shaheed is there too.
Outside of that bright side, but I mean, you're looking at 4 to 5 years to rebuild that offense and defense and make sure that everything. I don't know, man. No, I'm sorry, dude. Your team's ass, and they're going to be ass for a while.
The Aints are back, brother. The Aints are back, and they are tanking for Arch. I'll tell you that right now. They can bring an Arch Manning back into the Superdome or whatever that's called down there now. That is what they're wanting to happen.
I think
but
it's still the Superdome.
Is it?
You're right. I don't know.
No, but Fish, you're right. When it comes to Chris Olave, there's 3 players I cringe every time they get into any sort of physical contact. It's Tua, it's Chris Olave, and it's DeMar Hamlin. And it's just every time they're in any sort of interaction on the field, I'm like, oh God, please get up. I mean, we need to send Tua and Olave to the WWE, have them be a tag team so they learn how to take a bump or two.
It's all
knock each other out.
Tuck your heads, boys. Don't let it hit the turf that hard. But, yeah, no. All jokes aside, Olave was thrown hospital ball after hospital ball last year, and it was like...
because they didn't have a
it was bad, man. Hell... Olave's down there somewhere, brother. But
not for long.
Yeah, you got their rankings here. Nobody's surprised at these. Defensively, their best categories and points allowed at 19th. And then you've got offensively just almost over 20 and everything. So if you have any Saints on your fantasy rosters, don't. Unless their names is Alvin Kamara or Rashid Shaheed. And I'm not even sure about Rashid Shaheed at this point. Don't have him. Just don't have him.
He's going to be a bye-week play, and that's it.
I mean, it's
until what I can see with Tyler Show or whatever guy's name. If I can see him throw the ball accurately in the first 3 games, something that a Colts quarterback can't do. If I can see him do that, then I'll believe him. But right now, he is nothing more than shit. I have everyone out on bye. I'm gonna start no one instead of Rashid Shaheed. Not gonna do
Shaheed.
it.
No, I
not good.
Completely with you. Yeah, I'm not excited about either one of those guys. Okay. But now is the tier list part of the show. And hopefully we don't get sorry. Can't walk and chew gum. Hopefully we don't get disrupted by a bunch of ads. I had to turn my ad blocker off for us to be able to use this site. So let's get back over here. And then we have the tier list. All right. So this is for the NFC West, boys. I don't think there's any question.
I'm sorry, you said the NFC West. So
or the NFC South. The NFC South. The NFC South. Okay. I don't think there's any question in anyone's mind who's number one quarterback here.
Look, I've never been more confident in the Buccaneers taking the majority of these categories.
It's Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, Saints for QB.
Yeah, I'll take that. I think you're right.
100%.
That's a great little piece there.
It's a great pull, Zoltowski. Now this next category, I'm not going to jump the gun and make the same mistake I did last week.
You could argue it though.
I think Buccaneers are still number one.
I'm giving it to Bijan. I think it's Bijan.
Over White and Bucky?
Am I the deciding factor here?
Yeah, you're the deciding factor.
The Falcons. Bijan, and keep in mind, who is his backup?
Tyler Algier.
Who is also very good with the rock. So Tasky, you are correct though, they're very good.
Wish you could put one on top of another.
100%.
Yeah. It's very close.
I think Bijan takes it until Urban really steps out of his game room this year and takes a full season. Absolutely. But it makes sense for that.
And then Panther Saints, right?
I hate to put Alvin last, but yeah. I think that's absolutely correct.
I think Fish said it. He's not 24.
Boys,
Chubb's getting up there too, but I mean, he's just way more around right now.
Boys, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be shocked if the Saints get out of fourth on any of these categories. Maybe some of the defensive ones, but other than that.
Maybe tight end? Do they still have
tight end?
Nope. Kyle Pitts.
No, you said out of fourth. That'll be third.
Oh.
Who's the Panthers tight end?
That's a good question. Why don't you look it up while we're talking about this?
Tommy Tremble.
Tommy Tremble?
Deion Sanders. Yeah, I think he's a rookie.
All right, we got a line next. I don't think this is a question either. Tristan Wirfs carries this for me. Got the Buccaneers first. The rest of the guys, I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess we'd go Falcons, Panthers, Saints.
Yeah, Falcons, Panthers, Saints. Just based off of
just production out of the running backs.
And there's one clip that is burned into my memory from early last year when the Panthers, when their left tackle just gets absolutely bowled over and Bryce gets smoked. Like, I mean, dude's on his ass in 0.5 seconds, and I'm like, brother, you cannot do that.
And listen, folks, if you're not happy with these rankings that are not fantasy relevant, we're a fantasy podcast. You want the real guys to talk about fantasy or talk about offensive line and safeties and defensive line, go watch Mel Kiper. He'll talk to you about it. But we're a fantasy show. That's what we're here for. So we're here for the receivers. And I think that again,
which is it's just a repeat of the last.
Is a repeat, yeah, 100%.
I like Darnell Mooney with the Falcons. I think he's slept on.
Yes, I would agree there. And I think
you just can't, especially like with the addition of a Mecca, you did.
Yeah,
top there. I mean, it might be top receiving room. top 5 in the league.
I would agree top 5 in the league for receiving rooms.
I know a top 5 that won the Super Bowl though.
The Slim
you can
Reaper.
read books on the you can read books on the sideline and you still win a Super Bowl. As long as your players are happy, man.
It's all about keeping your zen. That's it.
That guy sold so many copies of that book.
The guy woke up and he's like, "Shit, I got $30 in my account." Woke up the next morning, cool, $400,000. Great. What happened?
All right, for tight ends, I think we're going to Kyle Pitts, correct? Over K. Dotton.
Yeah.
The potential's it's there. Just somebody unlock it. Unlock him. That's it.
He needs to just learn how to run a route. It's not a post or a go.
I heard that his route running is not great.
It's not good, man. And there's one of the ways he can't run routes either. He either can't run them outside or inside. I can't remember which one, but it's not good. And then I guess we go K. Dotton next. Who's the Saints tight end? Is it other than Taysom Hill?
The Saints tight end is Jawan Johnson.
Jawan Johnson, yeah.
Jawan Johnson.
Who has flashes in the pan. Honestly, I would put him over Panthers.
Tommy Tremble.
So Saints got their first.
Their number one.
Saints got their first third place. There we go, Saints.
Shout out Noah.
To be honest.
For defensive backs, or I guess this is corners specifically, I think this is Panthers just because of J.C. Horn. You could argue Falcons because of A.J. Terrell, but I don't know.
No, I think you're right there. I think with Horn being there, because didn't they sign him to a contract, like a bigger one?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it makes sense with that. The Falcons, the Saints, are dead last.
Oh, you don't like Kool-Aid McKinstry?
Which it feels a little silly putting the Panthers first because of how bad their defensive stats were, but the shining bright light and all that was their
corners
passing defense.
Yeah.
So then you go safeties. I'm going Bucks. Anton Winfield Jr. is just an absolute menace out there.
Unit.
And then is Honey Badger still around? Is he still at the Saints? Is he playing well?
I think he might be a free agent.
He might be 47 years old at this point.
Saints have Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu.
Yep, Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu.
Tyrann Mathieu, yeah. Butchered that name.
You said Mathieu?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Justin Reed's pretty good too, though. So maybe Saints go up one more here. Because I couldn't tell you Falcons. Well, no, they've got
Jesse Bates the third.
Jesse
Jordan
Bates,
Fuller.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Falcons are going to go second, and then we'll go Saints and then Panthers. I couldn't tell you Panthers safety. D-line, got to give it to the Bucks again.
It's Bucks, yeah. 100%.
Vita Vea.
Yeah.
Big man Vita Vea.
Defense. I mean.
And then the rest of them you could run a randomizer. In my eyes.
I think give it to the Falcons just because of what their offseason moves were and what they drafted.
Yep.
And then who do you think's better between the Saints and the Panthers?
Take them out back and shoot them both.
Flip a coin. Or
they're awful.
We'll give this one to the Panthers, I guess.
Wait, look at them go.
All right, then we got linebackers. I'm going again with the Buccaneers. Levante David's still there balling out, being crazy. Demario Davis, I believe he's still at the Saints. I'd go with him next.
Yes.
In terms of middle linebacker, quarterbacks, leaders. I don't know. The quarterback of the defense. And then
with Chase Young is over there too.
Yeah, he's an edge guy, but they probably have most of the linebacker.
Yep.
And then I guess we go. Yeah, you got to go Falcons then Panthers because Panthers are ass when it comes to anything defensive.
I forgot Chase Young went there.
Yep. In special teams, we didn't do this last week. We can do it now if you guys want to. I don't really care.
I'm gonna go Falcons for Young Hoku.
Young Hoku.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll just have the Falcons there then. That'll work. So.
I go Falcons. Honestly, yeah. Falcons, Bucks, Saints Panthers just because the Panthers got rid of all their. They got rid of their.
Yeah, the
punter and
Panthers are a
kicker.
big question mark. So, all right. So based
Yeah.
on this list, I think you're going to see a repeat from next year in terms of standings. Hopefully, there's a little bit more at stake between the Buccaneers and the Falcons. That's always more fun when people are fighting for first and second a little bit more. But
It'll
yeah,
probably be close. I think. Falcons just got a couple things to iron out, but they're not. It's really it's the Falcons and the Buccaneers, and then the Saints and Panthers can have participation trophies.
yeah. So Saints are tanking for Arch. Mark my words. I don't see any other way.
Because I think
about
if
it.
if I'm not mistaken, the Bucs and the Falcons split last year, didn't they? Because that was the game where Kirk threw for like 500 some yards or something dumb.
I think they did split. I think you're right. But,
On ESPN they have Penix listed as the starter. By the way,
yeah, no, he is.
I didn't.
He's the starter, and I can't wait to watch Netflix's Quarterback, not a sponsor, because Kurt Cuddy's in it again. And I can't wait to see. Apparently, that is all captured during that TV show. So, very excited to see what happens there.
Seen some clips from it. I think the one that I sent you is Joe Burrow in it. Is that from that? Is that from that? When he's talking about the fossils.
Yeah, Joe Stinky's in it. So,
hey, dude, that's your favorite team too.
It's not my favorite team.
Yeah, no,
A lot of teams.
They won in overtime in week 5, and he threw for 509 yards and 4 touchdowns.
And then they benched him. Yeah, that's the show. Next week, we're going to do NFC East. Fish. Get your game face ready. Going to have a lot to talk about with your boys.
Ready.
Means we get the North after that. Let's go.
And then we get the North after that, and then we'll take care of the AFC after that.
You're saving the best division for last. I get it.
Yep.
Yeah, the NFC.
But yeah, that's the show. If you like it,
You've got the Giants and the Cowboys in your division. It's
and Super Bowl champion.
Right, but you are Super Bowl champions. But like division competition wise.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion. Is the Super Bowl in your division?
No, it's in your division.
You know what is in your division? A lot of injuries. You know why? Because you guys are up by 40 points and decided to play.
There was a lot of injuries all around this year too, though.
Interesting.
The more we look at it.
Interesting.
Seems like the injury bug is in the NFC North.
It's everywhere.
All right, but before I was rudely interrupted there in my sign off. If you like the show, If you want to share it with people, share it. We appreciate you listening, appreciate you watching. OSCGG, thanks for being a gent. Fun Friday coming out Friday. So, see you guys later.
See you guys.
Bye.